all of your favorite recipes.
Simply Food.
You should know by now that you're in for a treat.
Simply Food.
There's no other channel where you'd rather be.
Simply Food.
Seafood, pasta, cakes, and pies. Sing and laugh and even cry. Like and share and hit subscribe. Simply Food by TY.
Alright, I'm back. Alright, now fellas, I tried to tell y'all I was gonna hook y'all up with a couple of recipes that will surely impress your partner for Valentine's Day. And these Madeleines topped with white chocolate and edible rose petals will absolutely be a surefire winner. So get your pen and notepad, because today is the day. Let's go, honey. All right, y'all, so let's go over the ingredients. You're going to need 1 stick of unsalted butter. That's roughly about 100 grams. Some baking powder, all-purpose flour, vanilla extract. I'm going to be using edible rose petals. I have 3 large eggs here that are getting to room temperature. I'm going to be using white chocolate, roughly about 4 ounces, some granulated white sugar, and then I'm also going to be using this whipped honey with lavender and lemon. Now, if you can't find that, that's totally fine. You can use regular honey, and then you can add lavender essential oils to it and some lemon zest, or you can just use plain honey and it will still be absolutely delicious. You're also going to need some whole milk. You see that? You see that? You see that? You see that? Don't ask me for the damn ingredient list. Come on, Chad. Alrighty, you guys. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out 60 grams of whole milk. I'm now going to measure out 50 grams of our delicious honey here. Well, now, before we even start to bother with measuring out any of the flour, any of that, we want to go on ahead and melt down our butter, our milk, as well as the honey, because I want to allow this to cool off for just a few minutes while I am measuring out all of my dry ingredients. So I like to go on ahead and just do this first so that while I'm doing all the other stuff, this can start to cool off. Because when we do add this to the mix, we don't want it to scramble up the eggs. I'm going to do this over a low heat. And once that butter is melted, I'm going to go on ahead and just turn it off and then remove it from the heat completely. Alrighty, you guys, this has now melted down fully. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm going to remove it from the heat completely so that this can begin to cool down. And now we can go on ahead and start to prep the rest of the ingredients. We're now going to measure out 100 grams of white granulated sugar. And now we're going to measure out 200 grams of all-purpose flour. Alrighty, so now let's go on ahead and crack in our 3 eggs, which are all at room temperature. Give those a good whisk. Add in your white granulated sugar. Give that a whisk. And we're now going to start to gradually add in our butter mixture and just going ahead and whisk it thoroughly so that it does not scramble the eggs. I'm going to temper it by just adding in a few splashes at a time. I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of baking powder to my flour mixture and a tiny little pinch of some fine sea salt. And just for good measure, I'm going to run this through a sifter just so that I can make sure it's nice and smooth. And now give this a good mix. Now, this is one of those type of batters where you're going to have to learn how to gauge when you're over mixing versus under mixing. You want to make sure that this is, as my friend John would say, very homogeneous, which essentially just means you want to make sure that everything is thoroughly mixed together. All right, this is what we're looking for. Everything is fully combined. It's coming off nice and smooth. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop mixing this. So I've now transferred this over to a glass bowl and I've covered it up with some cling film. And as you can see, I've made sure that the cling film is touching the batter directly because I don't want a film to develop on the top layer of this. So we're going to place this in the refrigerator. It's best to let it rest for minimum 2 hours. Even better if you can let it go overnight, but you do not have to do that. So I will see you guys back in about 2 hours time. Alright, you guys, so to prep my pans here, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can go in and do a light brush of some melted butter and then go in with the coating of flour, or you can do what I'm doing, which is using the Pan Perfect Release Spray, and then I'm still going to put down the flour because I want to make sure that these easily come off. I love this spray. Doesn't leave a weird artificial flavor because it is made with flour. So I'm just going to give this a good spritz. And I'm now going to go in and I'm just going to make sure that I get some flour in all of the nooks and crannies, and then I'm going to knock off any of the excess. I don't want any extra on there. So I'm just going to go in like so, just so that I can make sure that it's in all of the little crevices, and then I'm going to go and knock all of this off, and I'll show you what the pan looks like in just a few moments. Alrighty, so I have my pan nice and prepped. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place this in the freezer for about 15 to 20 minutes. And like I said, to give this a nice little touch, I'm going to be going in and I'm going to be using some edible rose petals. So what I want to do now is I want to go on ahead and prep my other pan so that when I pour on that white chocolate, I will have this as a bottom layer. And I'm not going to put in too many because a little does go a long way. This is just gonna look absolutely stunning. And you don't have to worry about trying to be specific about how you put the rose petals in, because once you put the white chocolate in and then you put the cookie on top, it'll flatten out the rose petals for you. But you just wanna make sure that you have, you know, a decent amount, but not too many, because again, these rose petals are pretty potent. All right, so now that we have these nice and prepped in the pan, we can go on ahead and just sit this to the side until it's time for us to add in the white chocolate. Okay, and just to give you a little rundown on how we're going to go about baking them, we're going to start off by preheating the oven to 425 degrees. At that point, once it hits 425 degrees, I will go on ahead and take my tray, my baking tray out of the freezer. We'll start to load it up with the batter. Once I put it inside of the oven, I'm then going to reduce the temperature from 425 to 385. And then I'm going to start a stopwatch and I'll let you guys know exactly how long it takes for them to bake. All right, y'all, so my batter has been in the fridge for roughly about an hour, hour and a half. So now I'm gonna go on ahead and remove this and I'm gonna scrape that off because I'm not trying to lose all that good batter, child. And while my oven is preheating, I'm gonna do this last and final step, which is adding 1 teaspoon of the vanilla extract. Now, I don't wanna impart too much air into this. So once I see that that vanilla is mixed in, I'm gonna stop mixing this all together. Just simply just trying to mix in the vanilla, that's all. And then I'm gonna transfer this over to a little, actually, I'm not even gonna do a Ziploc bag. I'm gonna use a cookie scoop today. But you can transfer this over to a piping bag if you would like. The vanilla is incorporated. I'm gonna stop mixing it. Okay, this is freezing cold and I'm gonna be using a number 40 scoop today. I don't want to overfill these, so I'm gonna do it just right there in the center, just like so. And honestly, that is way too much. No, ma'am. Nope, that's too much damn batter. Nope, we're taking some of that out. Alert, alert, alert. So I'm going to be using a number 60 scoop. I was going to use a number 40, but to me, that just seemed like way too much batter. And you do not want these things to overfill. So better off, you know, to start off with a little bit and then add in more if you really, really think it needs it. But they will spread out. So I'm just going to go on ahead and fill all of these up. Yeah, this is the perfect amount of batter. And I would say this is probably about a tablespoon or so worth of dough. My oven just hit 400 degrees. I'm now going to place these in the oven. And like I said, I'm now going to reduce the temperature to 385. And I will let you guys know exactly how long it took for these to bake. Just letting you know, I'm not going to be doing anything special to this white chocolate at all. I'm honestly just going to pop this in the microwave and just allow it to melt down. I'm not going to do anything fancy, nothing at all, just melting it down. Alrighty, you guys, so these have been baking for exactly 11 minutes, and I think that it is time for me to take these bad boys out. Alrighty, so I've just taken these bad boys out of the oven, and they look absolutely stunning. Let me show you guys what they look like underneath. It's going to be really, really hot, but that's okay. As you can see, it has the little peak that you're looking for, and then look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. Now you can just top this with some powdered sugar once it fully cools off and just eat it by itself. Or you could do what I'm going to do today, which is put some white chocolate on it with some edible rose petals. But these are absolutely divine. They're a perfect little thing to have with like a cup of tea or like some coffee in the morning because they're not too sweet. And let me show you what the inside looks like. Super, super hot, but ooh. Super hot, but you can see light and fluffy on the inside, super spongy, not dried out, not overcooked whatsoever. Alrighty, you guys, so I'm now going to transfer these over to a wire rack, but I'm going to make sure that it's flat side down. I don't want the little dome to get flattened out, so I'm just going to make sure that I transfer them over just like so. And I'm going to continue to repeat this process until I bake them all off. Alrighty, so this didn't even take a full minute for this to melt, which is perfect. You don't want to burn it, so this is good to go. I'm now going to take a spoon and I'm just going to put in a little bit of white chocolate right over the top of the roses. And then once the roses are done, I'm just going to fill around on the outside like so. I'm then going to take the Madeleine and I'm going to keep it in the same direction. And I'm just going to slightly press it down just like so. Cover up the rose petals. Go around on the outside. And you can do as much or as little white chocolate as you would like. That's really up to you, to be quite frank. Put in your Madeleine and just slightly press it down. Just like so. And you just want to make sure that it's fully coated though. And I'm going to repeat that for all of these. And then I'm going to sit this in the refrigerator until that chocolate gets nice and hard. After allowing those to sit in the fridge for an hour, literally they just come right out of the mold and these turn out absolutely fabulous. As you can see, I topped some with some powdered sugar. Some of them I just drizzled with the white chocolate. I'm telling you, this is one of those type of things that's super easy to make, but you will definitely impress whoever you present these to. So enjoy, honey. I just want y'all to know it's hot as hell. That's why I turned these lights off, but I'm getting ready to try one. Here we go. It's just something about it. Make this.
Slaying in the kitchen.
Simply Food by TY.
We hope that you enjoyed it.
Simply Food by TY. If you haven't took the time, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Simply Food.